to go to Keith Jayasena to give us a talk about the barley rust pathotype.
Good morning. Before I start my talk, I would like to acknowledge the financial assistance from GRDC and colleagues in DAFWA and farmers in the south coast. Barley leaf rust is one of the emerging issues coming for the couple of years now. Major discovery of new mutation found in the south coast have a bigger impact on the barley growing in south coast. And this new pathotype 5457P- has occurred by single step mutation, what we found on 2001, common pathotype that time, found in the South Sterling area. Next slide, please. So it has been confirmed this new pathotype has broken down. Its virulence for RPH3 gene, major gene resistant, single step mutation I said before. Samples have confirmed presence of this pathotype across south coast. And now this pathotype we found in 2013 has been established. So shifting susceptible to barley varieties, on-farm implication varieties with RPH3 should be treated as susceptible like bass, and varieties with adult plant resistance has to keep closely monitored, for example, Granger and Oxford. This trial shows we are looking into the management options of how to manage the rust. Trial carried in South Sterling indicates that bass is treated as a susceptible now, higher disease levels, and it has a good response for fungicides. The varieties which has the adult plant resistance behave differently. Some have response for example, Larkrobe have response for fungicide, but other varieties doesn't have any fungicide response. So that means if you can select the varieties with adult plant resistance, should be have a better management option. Next slide. This one give a good snapshot what is going to happen for 2015, because there are a couple of varieties. 96% of the varieties are vulnerable. This graph shows disease levels observed in popular varieties which are planning to grow in the south coast at tillering stage. And there are varieties like Oxford, Granger, Dash have a very little amount of disease. On the top, the percentage wise, how these varieties are going to take the acreage under south coast. For example, 43% means Hindmarsh next year about 43% of the area will be under the Hindmarsh. So all those varieties are susceptible. You have to treat them with, you have to use fungicides. Next slide, please. So in summary, so new pathotype currently only detected in the south coast, not in the northern or central region. Varieties which has the RPH3 gene should be treated as susceptible varieties and need fungicide intervention. Adult plant resistant varieties has to be closely monitored, and you should know when you are selecting varieties what ranking they carry, and avoid using susceptible to moderately susceptible varieties. And if you are selecting to use that varieties, then you have to budget it up for fungicide application. Next slide. So I would like to acknowledge the Sterling to Coast farmer groups, GIDC, and especially for Mark Wood to allowing us to carry out these trials. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith.